Hello, folks. Welcome to Inkdependence. I'm Mike, and usually we start off these things by saying, "I hate ads," but this is an ad. So this is the ink we're talking about today, and this is an ink that I had made by Pennonia in Hungary. A little story time, and then we'll take a look at the ink. So this is an ink that actually started out as a name, and that name is Cheerio Waterbus, or in Hungarian, Servus Visibus. So the deal is there was a post that went around Twitter, I think, a while back that had all these like little rhymes. So like in the US we have like after a while crocodile and see you later alligator. Well, the sort of rhyming goodbye for Hungarian is Servus Visibus, which is Cheerio Waterbus. And that makes me laugh so hard that I was like, we have to make an ink out of this. And Mate over at Pennonia was like, yeah, no, absolutely. That sounds great. Let's do it. And so we started talking over some time about what that ink ought to be like. And I really liked the way that this ink, Pennonia Draculea, came out. And so it's a red ink with all this weird black pigmenty stuff in there. I said, hey, how'd you do that, man? He said, well, you use little undissolvable pigments. Well, Cheerio Waterbus does the same kind of thing, except it's a teal base with a bright blue pigment. This was made after Audrey and I found some pictures of the Liberty Bridge in Budapest, and we're like, that's a really cool green bridge. Let's see what we can do with that. And this is kind of like, I don't know, maybe Liberty Bridge in the shade or something like that. But I really like the look of this. I think that y'all will too, frankly. So details comes in a cool custom box with my logo on the side. Shake before use, and that is for realsies. It is a 60 ml bottle, and it's gonna be going for $22 on my store, which is here. And it'll go live on the 23rd of March at 2 p.m. Eastern. So if you're watching this after that, just go there and check it. This is not limited edition exactly, although I do have a limited supply at any one time. I can get more of this made if it goes. So we'll see what the demand is. Fountain pen ink created exclusively for me. That's my symbol, Inkdependence. Pen XXX is the sort of like skew. And there you go. And this has some Hungarian stuff. I forget. He told me what this said, and I forgot. This ink comes in a big ol' amber glass bottle, so it is a little bit on the heavy side, but that also means that it's sturdy and protected from UV, which is fun. So you can actually leave this out, and it probably won't degrade. I've used a fair amount of this ink actually already. I really like this stuff. You can see the blue on the bottom. This is that pigment, and you're going to want to shake the absolute business out of this thing to get all this blue into the solution if you want to get the best effect from this stuff. This pigment is really interesting in that it is extremely fine. It can be a little bit hard to move when you're shaking it, so just do some of this and watch a TV show or something. Like, it takes a little time to get it all into solution because it's so fine that a lot of this actually is already in the ink. You just can't tell. There's a little bit left at the bottom. So, so give it a good shake. Do as the bottle says. So let's take a look at what this ink looks like. It looks like this, which, I mean, if you're like me, then you love this. So it's real cool. Now, the trick with this ink is that you're not always going to get all this color and all this variation. This, of course, is a swatch of a very well shaken bottle, etc. The blue here is all the pigment that you saw at the bottom of the bottle there, and it will mix in with the ink pretty well. So you're always going to get this awesome greenish teal color. And then as you use a wetter nib or perhaps a broader nib or a broader wetter nib, you're going to get more of this blue pooling in and around your letters and your drawing and all that sort of thing. So sometimes you get a lot of blue, sometimes you get less blue. I didn't really shake the bottle for this one, and so just a little bit blue right in here. Right? So this is a really cool ink for a lot of different uses because it'll look a little bit different all the time, and I really like it. This is just some writing I did. I was finishing up writing just a chapter, I should say transcribing a chapter of this book I've been reading about female philosophers, and this is all the same ink. This, I switched nibs. This is a double broad pilot that's been ground to a perspective grind by Gina over at Custom Nib Studio. They do a great job, and this pen is awesome with this ink, because as you can see, the blue comes and goes and fades and like pools. It's real cool. And then this one down here is this is a Sig nib, I believe, and you can see in some of the letters that I have, more ink in, it just like it turns blue for a letter or two. I think it's real cool, and I dig that effect. So I've had this in a bunch of pens because I wanted to check out how it behaved and all that sort of thing, so that people would know and they'd know what to expect. So I put it in this TWSBI Eco, which has a 1.1 stub on it. It's a really wet TWSBI Eco. My friend Tammy had this. I bought it from her, and she really likes these tunes. It's super wet. So this is a pretty wet nib, and not at all dry. And so I was like, well, let's try it in here. And so when it sits on its side, you can see that that pigment will sort of settle to wherever the bottom is. You can see that blue streak all the way down, which is really cool. Don't worry about that. It doesn't stain in any way that I can tell. Let's go ahead and like move this piston up. And we can see the clear plastic. Hasn't stained or anything like that. It's just the pigment that kind of like precipitates out of the solution. And so what you want to do is just want to like give that a vigorous. I do like the little twisty thing, because I don't want to shake ink into the cap. But you can be as vigorous as you like, and you can see it's like it'll come off. It'll just get back into the solution, and then as you write with it, you'll get a lot of cool color here and there. This is that Sig nib, similar kind of deal. I don't get as much of the blue in this one, just because it's a finer nib with slightly less flow, but you do get it sometimes, and it's very cool, and you always get the teal, and I love that teal. This is that double broad nib that gives you a whole bunch of that blue most of the time, and then just because I wanted to see what would happen, I put it in this pen, which is a desk pen that is always face down. And I was thinking, like, maybe it will clog if you do this. And the answer is that no, it really kind of doesn't clog when you do that. It can be like, I had a little bit of a hard start, like right there, but then it gets going immediately. And what you end up with is a whole lot of that blue to begin with. And then it sort of chills out, and you end up with like the blue and the green being where it ought to be. So this ink is, I think, pretty darn good. It's got great flow. It's got that cool blue thing that happens when you shake up the bottle or the pen or use a wide nib. It's very cool, and I hope that y'all like it as much as I do. Let me know in the comments what you think, and go check out my store, inky-d.com, to find your own bottle of the Cheerio Waterbus. Until next time, Cheerio Waterbus.